Just when you think this transfer window couldn't get any crazier, Luis Diaz is gone and we got a fat check for him. Are we going to use that money for Isak? Well, we tried to, and our first bid got rejected. So what next? Well, rumours about Rodrygo to Liverpool started to emerge. Yes, it's been a few days since we heard about our interest in the player, and perhaps our moves for Ekitika and Isak shadowed it a bit. Still, surely we need to talk about a player that is considered a Galactico, no? So what kind of player is Rodrygo exactly? Is he the right profile to boost Liverpool's attack? And maybe the biggest question of all, how would he fit in, especially as a left winger, if this transfer actually happens? Well, hit that like button, make sure to subscribe, and let's get straight into it. Let's kick things off by breaking down the kind of player Rodrygo really is. This should clear up any doubts about his profile and what he brings to the table. So, Rodrygo is a right-footed forward, capable of playing across the front line, except for the number 9 position obviously, right wing, left wing, even as a number 10 at times. But his preferred position, and where he's arguably most effective, is on the left wing. Now we know who likes to operate on that side at Real Madrid, don't we? That left side has been pretty much off limits because of a certain Vinicius Jr., and to make it even worse, Mbappe also likes to drift to that left channel. So Rodrygo has usually found himself on the right flank. He even said that he's often just filling in wherever there's a hole. Not exactly a stable role, right? That might have held him back a bit, which we'll talk about in a moment. Physically, Rodrygo is 24 years old, so he's entering his prime years. He's about 5'8", and on the lighter side, so it's safe to say he's not getting any taller or turning into a powerhouse brute anytime soon. What he lacks in size though, he makes up for in agility and technique. The Brazilian is quick, maybe not the absolute fastest player on the planet, but give him the ball in tight spaces and he'll dance through with ease thanks to his agility and footwork. He's got that Brazilian flair in his dribbling, a low center of gravity, and excellent close control. Whether it's a sudden change of direction or a burst of acceleration over a few yards, he can leave defenders flat-footed. Just take a look at the radar chart on your screen, which highlights Rodrygo's strengths really well. The green sections represent dribbling and carrying, and the numbers are almost off the charts. He's ranking in the top percentiles for things like successful dribbles and carries into the penalty area. In other words, when it comes to moving the ball forward and taking on defenders, Rodrygo is simply elite. Now check out the blue sections, which cover passing and possession metrics. Also pretty impressive, right? This implies he's heavily involved in link-up play, things like key passes, progressive passes, passes received in the final third. He's doing a lot of that and doing it well. Basically, he's not a passenger in games being constantly involved in building attacks. The orange sections are solid too. They aren't Messi level crazy, but they show a respectable contribution in terms of goals and shot creation. To put some numbers on it, last season in La Liga, Rodrygo scored 14 goals and provided 11 assists. That's 25 goal contributions in 54 appearances across all competitions. That's decent for a winger, right? But the context is key. As we said earlier, he often wasn't in his favourite spot on the pitch. What's more interesting are his underlying stats. He averaged roughly 4.5 to 5 shot creating actions per 90 minutes, which places him in the top 15-20% of attacking players. That tells us he's heavily involved in setting up shots for his team, whether it's through a dribble, a pass, or drawing a foul. He also played about 2 key passes per 90, highlighting his creative eye in the final third. When it comes to progressing the ball, Rodrygo shines as well. He's in roughly the 94th percentile for progressive carries and very high for successful take-ons. So the picture we're painting here is of a nimble, creative winger who loves to dribble, can pick a pass, and is no stranger to chipping in with goals. But like any player, Rodrygo has his weaknesses, and we should address those too. Now obviously with his smaller frame, Rodrygo isn't the most physically imposing player out there. It's fair to say he lacks a bit of strength and might struggle in outright physical battles. Aerial duels are also not his forte. He's not going to be out jumping burly centre-backs for headers, that's for sure, and that's where some questions come to mind. Can he handle the Premier League physicality? Will he get pushed off the ball or bullied? It's a valid concern on the surface, but here's the thing, is it really as bad as it sounds? In our view, not necessarily. For one, Liverpool's system doesn't typically rely on wingers to win a ton of headers or shoulder barge opponents off the ball. How many aerial duels does Mo Salah win per game? Probably not many, and he's done just fine. Same for someone like Luis Diaz, he's not a big guy dominating in the air. The team is built to leverage other strengths, running in behind as an example, rather than pure physicality on the wings. Yes, Rodrygo will need to adapt to a more physical league, maybe hit the gym a bit, but it's not a deal breaker. In fact, the numbers suggest his slight frame isn't a huge liability. His success rate in defensive duels and aerials is below average, but here's the twist. That's pretty normal for a creative winger, and it's comparable to what some current Liverpool attackers have. The key is effort and positioning. On that front, Rodrygo actually does put in a shift. Carlo Ancelotti, his former coach at Real, even praised Rodrygo's willingness to work hard defensively. He's not someone who'll just stand around and refuse to track back. He'll press from the front and he'll help out when he can. So while he might not be winning the ball with crunching tackles, he's at least contributing to the team's defensive shape. Bottom line is, Rodrygo's not a powerhouse, and he won't magically become one in the Premier League. You wouldn't task him with, say, marking a big striker on set pieces or anything. But Liverpool have coped with players like this before. As long as the team is set up to play to his strengths and cover his weaknesses, his lack of physicality shouldn't be a massive issue. It's a weakness to note, sure, but not a reason to write him off. Now, the big question, would Rodrygo actually be a good fit for Liverpool, and how would he be used? We at Anfield FC believe the answer is yes. He'd be a fantastic fit, particularly as the left winger. Let's break down the reasons. First, we know how Slot likes his wingers to be. Salah is the one usually holding width on the right, while Gakpo or Diaz tuck inside from the left. This allows for combinations in central areas, creates space for the left fullback to overlap, and basically create chaos in the final third. That's where Rodrygo comes in. He's not your typical width holder, he's an inverted winger on the left, meaning he'll cut inside onto his stronger right foot. Wirtz, Ekitike, McAllister will all be there waiting to combine while the Brazilian dances his way through tight areas. That's where his creativity can shine. And that brings us to something we struggled with, low block defenses. Last season, a lot of responsibility has fallen on the likes of Trent Alexander-Arnold from deep or Salah from the right. The left side hasn't been as creatively potent. Luis Diaz, for all his dribbling ability, is more of a direct runner and shooter than a creative passer, not to mention how he lost his explosiveness after that injury. Rodrygo could change that. We saw that he averages around 2 key passes a game and is in the top tier for shot creating actions. He has the vision to pick out a cutback or a dink pass in the box. Adding that to Liverpool's left wing could diversify the attack. Plus, because he's so good at carrying the ball forward, he can help Liverpool transition from defense to attack quickly, which is already one of our strengths. Now there's something else that many are underrating. It's his experience and mentality. Despite being only 24, Rodrygo has a CV most players would envy. He's already won 2 Champions League titles and 3 La Liga titles with Real Madrid. He's scored in Champions League knockout games, performed under immense pressure, and trained daily in a hyper-competitive environment. Bringing that winning experience to Liverpool's squad is invaluable. You're getting a player who isn't likely to be overawed by big occasions. He's literally been a hero on some of the biggest nights. Yeah, this one's aimed at you City fans, and from a mentality standpoint, he's hungry. You can tell he wants to break out and be the guy for a team. At Real Madrid, he was never going to be the star, but with us, he could take on a larger role. That hunger to prove himself could elevate his game further. Now, we should also be real about expectations. If Liverpool do sign Rodrygo, we shouldn't expect him to immediately post Mo Salah numbers or turn into a 30-goal superstar overnight. His highest league goals in a season so far is in the single digits. It might take time for him to adjust to the Prem and to a new system. But the trajectory is what matters. All the indicators, from his per 90 stats, to the flashes of brilliance we've seen, to the fact he'd finally be in his optimal position, suggest that Rodrygo is ready to hit a new level. From the club's perspective, investing in Rodrygo is a statement of intent. You're getting a player entering his prime who has been trained at one of the world's biggest clubs. The fact that Liverpool are reportedly in contact and even have personal terms informally agreed says a lot. There's genuine interest and you can see why. So is Rodrygo a strong fit for Liverpool, particularly as a left winger? We'd say absolutely yes. He's a dynamic, skillful attacker who addresses some of Liverpool's needs, while fitting the mold of the high-intensity, high-IQ player that Liverpool covet. Sure, he has some limitations, he's not going to bully Premier League defenders physically, and he's not a 20-goal-a-season marksman yet. But his strengths in attacking, passing, and dribbling metrics are exactly what you'd want in an elite winger. And those weaker areas like aerials and physical duels, the team can work around those just like they do with other players who have similar profiles. It kind of feels like Rodrygo is a gem waiting to truly explode if placed in the right setting. Liverpool might just be that setting, where he be trusted as a key man rather than a utility player. The prospect of him cutting in at the cop end, linking up with our forwards, and banging in a curler or sliding a through ball for an assist is mouth-watering. But what do you think? Would Rodrygo be a hit in a Liverpool shirt? Is he worth the hype and the price tag as the next big attacking signing? Let us know in the comments below. We're curious how Reds fans feel about this one. If you enjoyed this in-depth look at Rodrygo, please do hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe for more analysis and transfer talk. Thanks for watching, and as always, we'll catch you in the next one.